and welcome to episode 503 of the Connected podcast from Relay FM. This episode is brought to you by NetSuite, Ecamm, 1Password, and Fitbod. My name is Myke Hurley, and I have the pleasure of welcoming to the show Federico Viticci.
Hello, Myke. How are you?
Hello, Federico.
It's good to be back here. It's good to talk to you. And
I'm happy to be back.
it's good to talk to Steven. Hello, Steven.
Hello, boys. It is good. We're all together again.
Yes.
Which is nice. Myke, I hope you had a good time off.
I did.
And now we're back. We're back. And that means we start with follow-up. Follow-up. Someone's got to do the sound, you know? Follow-up. Follow-up. iOS 17.5.1 is out. This fixes an issue that it kind of fell between our episodes a little bit, where deleted pictures were reappearing for some users. A lot of people wrote the headlines of the iPhone is undeleting your nudes because obviously that's what people are going to recognize immediately in their photo rolls that have been deleted, right? If you took 17 pictures of your kid's soccer game and 2 show back up, you're not going to notice that, but nudie pictures you probably will. Horrific bug. I really hope that everyone had to work late and over the weekend to fix this. Unexcusable, but it seems to be fixed in 17.5.1, so good job.
But I would like to call attention to this and one other thing. Right?
Okay.
So this bug happened. We also had that thing a few weeks ago, which I spoke about on Upgrade, where a bunch of Apple IDs got locked and had to reset the passwords, right? Both of these things have come and gone. Apple's not saying anything about it. Because this Photos thing, how did this happen? I believe they need to answer this.
Yes, they do.
Because if I have deleted a photo, that photo should be gone, right? Why does it still exist?
Exactly.
Where does it exist? The photos that I have chosen to delete, that Apple tells me will be deleted after 30 days, how do they come back? Like, how did that happen? Like, there were reports where, like, I don't know if this is true or not, but there were reports that I was reading that some people were getting photos from a previous device owner.
Well, that was like one report on Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, you can't be sure of that.
I don't think that was a
there
thing.
was enough to say that photos that were deleted were coming back,
Yeah.
and they were longer than 30 days even. So where and why are these photos being stored, and how on earth did they come back again? Like, I think there needs to be an explanation for this.
You're right. You're totally right. I cannot believe Apple hasn't said anything about all that login reset stuff.
Yeah.
But between the two, they need to have some sort of statement. And because like it's serious. I mean, the nude headlines are one thing, but like all sorts of terrible things can happen when this comes up. And it definitely raises the question in my mind as well. Like, does deleting not mean deleting? Like, are these hanging out on a server somewhere? Are they still in my iCloud account, just like hidden away somehow?
Yeah.
There needs to be explanation around this.
But if there hasn't been by now, it probably won't be. Because like they've been pretty good recently at getting their statements out, and these are things that people are asking for comment on, and they're not giving any.
It's not what you think.
It's not what you think.
Deleting. It's not what you think.
I love it. That's so good. That's so good.
Tichi, you are the king of moderating. Not moderating.
Moderating. Yes, I moderate.
You are the king of moderation.
Federico, the moderator.
Of modifying. Jeez. iPads. Moderatifying Magic keyboards and iPads and Macs. We're going to talk about MacPad 2.0 in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk me through what's going on with this Magic keyboard mod that's floating around?
Yeah, so I saw this post on Threads. This person noticed that the Magic Keyboard felt more tippy when used on a desk compared to the previous one. And the problem is that the hinge, the redesigned hinge of the Magic Keyboard was not it doesn't touch the desk or like any flat surface when the keyboard is open and you're typing on your iPad. And this person's solution, Chris Newman on Threads, was to just simply attach some clear silicone bumpers, like some clear rubber feet essentially to the hinge and stabilize the keyboard, and it works. And this is something that I also noticed. Like, I'm gonna do this mod myself, not exactly for this reason, but because the new hinge, I don't like how it scratches my kitchen table, because it's like flat aluminum bar on my kitchen table, and my kitchen table is made of ceramic, and so like I don't want this thing to get the hinge to be ruined by the texture of my kitchen table. So I'm just gonna apply these clear plastic bumpers, exactly like Chris did on Threads, to solve that problem. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. It's a clever, simple mod that doesn't involve voiding any warranty for your Magic Keyboard.
So I have something that I think you'll enjoy, Federico. Those little rubber guys. 3M created a product like this, and they call them bump-ons.
Oh my God.
And I think you'd like that word, bump-ons. B-U-M-P-O-N, bump-on.
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 Bump-on. I can get them Friday.
And I know this because in keyboards, this is what people just call them. So like these are very, this type of little rubber feet that like they're on all mechanical keyboards because you don't want the metal on the desk, and also it stops the keyboard from moving around.
Yeah.
And so that's where I learned the term bump-ons, because I have a bunch of bump-ons. So bump-ons are great. I put them on everything. Like in my, like, I'm like what you are for those rolling squares, I am for bump-ons. I have them on tons of stuff in my house. Like things that go on kitchen counters and stuff to stop them moving around, like cutting boards, and I'm bumping on everything. Bump on.
I've used them to replace feet on like computers I get into the collection.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those rubber feet are like really sticky or they come off. And what's great about them, you can go to the hardware store and they come in all sorts of sizes. And like clear or, you know, brown or black, round, square. Like, it's a great technology.
Bump on.
Bump on.
Bump on. Listener Greg wrote in Connected 502, Federico wondered why the body's default remedy to many situations is to throw up.
Yes. Yes, I did.
If what you see doesn't seem to agree with your other senses, what your other senses are telling you about your motion, one thing that can cause this is ingesting something poisonous. The body simply decides to get rid of everything in case something in it is causing harm.
Huh.
There you go.
Okay. So this is like a natural reflex or something that the human body thinks that it ingested something, and so it's like, oh, let me throw it up, you know, as a precaution.
Makes
Makes sense.
Yeah, you eat some wild mushrooms in the forest, and suddenly the ground starts moving. Yeah, it's a good thing just to toss it overboard.
Yeah. I was recently talking to a friend. She relocated to New Zealand a few years ago. Sort of like the typical story of like abandoning all of her belongings from her previous life. She's a couple of years younger than me, and she tried to sell me on this idea that it's actually good for you to microdose on mushrooms. It's like, if you do it in small quantities, it's fine. It's like, yeah,
that's what they say. That's what they say.
Thank you. It's like, she was like, no, it's actually great for your creativity. It's like, yeah, thank you, but no,
I bet it is.
Do that.
I mean, you know, a hypercard came out of an LSD trip, so.
Did it?
It did.
Oh.
Really? No, okay.
We should all microdose on mushrooms and see where
Maybe we should
show.
Consider the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how funny this show would be if we were all on mushrooms?
Someone might cut a MacBook Air in half.
Someone might. But in the other way, it's not what you think. It's just like half of the screen, half of the keyboard.
Or you know, like I take the screen out of my studio display and like stick an iPad to it. It's like the inverse of the MacPad. I wanted OLED.
You just flip it around, and you're just like you're reaching around and you're like touching the back, you know, and like what's happening on the front. It's like perfect. That's the way it's going.
Speaking of microdosing,
yes. Speaking of being high,
Humane is looking for a buyer. This is according to Mark Gurman at Bloomberg.
No. They're gonna need a big dose, not a microdose for this.
This is gonna be. They need a big dose of money.
This is a whole basket of mushrooms.
Tell us the price, Myke.
So Mark Gurman's reporting that they're trying to sell themselves, so they're engaging with financial middle people, and they are looking for a price somewhere between 750 million to $1 billion.
Holy moly!
Which, look, I mean, the thing is, if they're going to sell, this is the kind of money they need because of how much money they've raised. Like, we can make a lot of arguments as to whether they're worth that money. I'm not sure that they are. But they might have an amount of intellectual property that's interesting. I don't know how you would value any of that. But this is like, they need to return money to the people that invested in them, right? So like if they're going to sell, it has to be for this. I think someone will buy them. I don't think someone will pay that amount of money. Like I think they'll probably end up just like everyone just gets what they paid in, which is probably like $500 million or something. Someone's going to buy them, I think.
Yeah, it's the world's most expensive laser.
That's probably not true.
Laser.
I think that they are probably genuinely like interesting to some company because they did produce a piece of hardware that looked nice, right? Like, and there aren't a lot of people that can do that, I feel, but I'm not surprised by this.
No.
Like, where else are they going to go? It's either this or it goes out of business, probably, right? Like,
yeah,
realistically. I made the joke to you guys earlier when we were talking about this in our message that if I was Tim Cook, I would buy them and force them to work on the iPhone. That's what I would do.
You said the iPhone SE.
I did say the iPhone SE specifically because it's the least exciting iPhone. Sorry, iPhone SE users. You see, I didn't want to say that because I didn't want the follow-up. But yeah, that's what I would do. I'd be like, you had a lot to say about the smartphone. Get back to work on the smartphone. That's what I would do. But
Oh, that's
Stephen, did you make a decision about your social media username yet?
I did.
Okay.
I am the real Myke Hurley on all social
Please
networks.
stand up.
Okay.
Please stand up.
Instagram.
Myke Hurley official.
Mom spaghetti.
/ the real Myke Hurley. You're a liar.
Yeah,
as always.
As always. Jeez. Yeah, I'm just sticking with ISMH86. It's fine. Done.
Oh, so you've gone everywhere now.
Yes. You
Okay.
can't. I don't know if I said this on the show, but you can't just change a Mastodon username, which is bogus. Mastodon Fediverse people.
It's not surprising though.
You have
if you think about it.
You have to create a new account, and then you can migrate the account. But the migration only moves your followers. So people who follow you will follow your new account. You have to export a CSV and then import it to your new account to have people you follow come over to your new account. Why is that not in the migration? And there's no way to move your content. So like all your old posts just go away, which is fine. I don't care. But it's very complicated. And this is now the second time I've done it because I went from mastodon.social to eworld.social and now this. And it's kind of a pain. But, open web. What are you going to do?
It's fun to search for you right now.
Yeah, there's probably
so many
6 of me.
Stevens. There's so many Stevens.
I know.
So I have a couple of questions for you.
Mhm.
One, did you say that you lose the posts or you keep the posts?
You lose them. Well, they don't move to your new account, so they're effectively gone.
Oh, because also when I search for you, I find the Threads version of you as well.
Yeah, because I have that federated, and
Fedied.
that is actually broken at the moment. So I went to the Threads interface. It's like, oh, I changed what account I needs to go to. So I turned it off, and you can't turn it back on for like 30 days.
Makes sense.
Because you don't want to federate too hard. So it is not federating right now, but it will again. Because I think that's good.
Mom's Fedgetty.
Fedaddy.
Fediverse Getty. So yeah, I don't, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's done. So it's done.
So let this be a lesson to you and everyone. Don't delete accounts on social media, right? Like if you want to take a break, delete the app. Don't delete the account because then you end up in this scenario,
Yep.
Like I think it's rare that somebody changes a username to add numbers, but Stephen had to do it. So don't delete accounts.
Don't do it. I was mad because Instagram got bought and Rage quit, and I should have just
Now look at you.
Just should have just done it. And that's what I do with my Twitter account. It's just like locked and
Yeah. My
private or
Twitter
whatever.
account's just like a ghost.
Yeah,
You know.
it really is.
I think I even changed my profile to black and white to make it look like I'm dead.
Wow.
Yeah. I did that
I have
on
this
Twitter.
thing. If I ever see a black and white photo of someone, I've immediately assumed that they've died.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel this?
Yeah.
Like if you're on Instagram, if someone posts a black and white photo of someone, I'm like, oh no, they're
Mhm.
dead. That's
Yeah,
my
yeah.
initial thought. I don't like that.
I just went to Twitter because I was going to look at my account. It redirected to x.com, and 1Password doesn't work because all my URLs saved in 1Password are for twitter.com, not x.com.
Mm.
I'll just never log in again.
Yeah, whatever.
I did not change my account by going on it right now. But what I find so funny right now is you go to like a Twitter page and you very quickly see it, and then they put up a thing that says login.
Yeah.
And I find that so funny. Like it's
Yeah.
so broken. It's just so broken.
It is dead. Rest in peace. This episode of Connected is brought to you by NetSuite. Quick math. The less your business spends on operations, multiple systems, and delivering your product or service, the more margin you have and the more money you get to keep. But with higher expenses on materials, employees, distribution, and borrowing, everything costs more. So to reduce costs and headaches, smart businesses are graduating to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, HR into one platform and one source of truth. With NetSuite, you can reduce IT costs because NetSuite lives in the cloud with no hardware required and can be accessed from anywhere. You cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you've got one unified business management suite. You improve efficiency by bringing all your major business platforms together, slashing manual tasks and errors. Over 37,000 companies have already made the move, so do the math and see how you'll profit from NetSuite. It's important to find ways to cut costs and boost business performance in today's world. By popular demand, NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for a few more weeks. Head on over to netsuite.com/connected. That's NETSUITE. netsuite.com/connected. Our thanks to NetSuite for the support of the show and Relay FM.
So we should talk about headphones. There's
Always.
there's a new headphone king in town, maybe? I don't know. Sonos, they have officially unveiled their widely speculated and previously rumored and shown on a bunch of websites Sonos Ace headphones. These are over-ear wireless headphones that look pretty good, I would say. They are reminiscent of the AirPods Max in some ways. The design of the headband and the arms and the removable sort of magnetic cups that you can remove and replace whenever you want. And they have, of course, some unique integrations with the Sonos ecosystem. I will leave you to. There's a bunch of videos that you can go check out, but I think Chris Welch's first look on The Verge is a pretty good one. Chris is the headphone guy on The Verge. Excellent coverage all the time.
He's also been like breaking news about these
Yes.
products for their entire existence.
Yeah.
It's very funny that they do continue. And you know what I like about Sonos actually is they continue to give this access to Chris when Chris is like the key person who's posting the leaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I respect that about a company, right?
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
like that this person is like they are on your beat, but like he's still there in the press events, you know, like and
Yeah.
I respect that about Sonos.
Yeah, more
I gotta
companies should be like that.
Yes.
So, these headphones, they have, the first unique integration is, of course, the support for private listening. So if you're at home and you have Sonos soundbars or other Sonos equipment,
Just
you
Sonos
can-
soundbars.
just Sonos soundbars, okay.
Yeah, just
so
Sonos
you
soundbars.
you can put on your headphones and you can sort of transfer the audio from the soundbar to the headphones.
Yeah.
If you want to join in and just listen in using your headphones. They have these what's the name of the button that they have?
The content button?
The content key.
Content
which
key.
is like this. Yeah, the content key, which is this metal slider that you can use to adjust volume and press to play and pause, as well as to long press if you want to beam the audio from the TV to the headphones. They look pretty good, I think. They're not made of aluminum as the AirPods Max. They have a really cool looking case that also uses magnets to line up the different parts that you need to store and carry. I'm not gonna buy this, but we do have a long time at this point Sonos customer, the real Myke Hurley. What do you think about these Sonos 8 headphones?
So I think that it's interesting, the decisions that they made. I think they made the right decisions, though. So, like, these headphones do not integrate with the Sonos system that you would be used to as a Sonos customer. So, like, you can't put these headphones, like, you can't be listening to something on Sonos speakers and then have that music also play in the headphones. It doesn't work like that. These are Bluetooth headphones first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then they have the one integration with the Sonos system, which is if you have, at the moment, it's just their most expensive soundbar, but they're going to be bringing it to their other soundbars where you can do this thing of like, I'm watching something on TV and now I can just bring that audio to me and I can, and these are fully featured headphones. They've got Dolby Atmos and surround sound and like they say they have best in class noise cancellation. They have transparency mode. So if you are a Sonos customer, it's weird because here's like a Sonos product that doesn't work like a Sonos product. But I actually think this was the right decision because I think it would have been weirder to be like, here's a pair of headphones and you can only listen to them in your house. That would have been very strange as a product to exist. So I think that this is a smart product of like, what I hope that they have done here is we have made an excellent pair of headphones that are Bluetooth headphones. So you listen to them on your phone, your iPad, when you're traveling, and then it may bring more people into the Sonos ecosystem, right? Where they're like, I really like these. What else do they do? So like that might be a thing that we see more of. For me, I am obviously very intrigued about this product because I am a big fan of Sonos' stuff. We spoke about it in the Pro Show, but I know there's this big controversy about the app right now. The app is fine for me because I don't use the features that are missing, and I actually like the new design. And I'm intrigued about these headphones. I'm very intrigued to see the full reviews, like how good is the noise cancellation. But really, what I want, what would be best for me, is I want AirPods Max 2. That's what I want. Because like what I want is all of the stuff that's in my AirPods Pro, but in my AirPods Max. I want active transparency. I want USB-C. I want voice, like conversation detection. Like I want all that stuff. And that's obviously not what the Sonos has because that's Apple stuff. So I'm just going to sit hoping and waiting for the AirPods Max 2 because I don't want to buy 2 sets of $400 headphones within like a year or whatever, And I would say like the AirPods Max, they are still excellent headphones, even though they miss a bunch of features, but they are still super good. So if I didn't have any of these and I was maybe making a decision about a pair of headphones to buy, I could see myself making this decision based on how good or not the reviews are, but I would struggle to replace my AirPods Max with these if AirPods Max 2 come, which I do think they still will, then I would want those more, I reckon. But this is an interesting product. I think they've done I think this, looks way more compelling as a version 1 product than you would expect a version 1 product to be, right? Like just like the overall fit and finish of these look really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Myke, you have an iPad Pro. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I love my iPad Pro. I have an 11-inch iPad Pro. I've had it since Saturday, and I am enamored by this product. I am excited to use it.
That's a good word. Okay.
It makes me happy to use it, which is a feeling that comes along not every time that I have a new Apple product, right? Like recently, like obviously the Vision Pro because it was all brand new, but like I think about something like the iPhone 14? What was the one that went flat sides? Was it 14?
No, I think it was the 12.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
one was like, oh, I loved that phone, right? Because it was like, this is so nice and new in its way. Or even to a point, the 15 because of the lightness, but it didn't have as much. Or I think about something like my Apple Watch Ultra, which is like the first Apple Watch in many years, or the M2 MacBook Air, because like there are these devices that take these big leaps. And for me, coming from an iPad Mini, huge leap, right? Like. And as well, like the last iPad Pro that I used was a 2020 iPad Pro. So the best screen technology I had was ProMotion. I never had mini LEDs. So going to an OLED is fantastic. All of the new pencil stuff is incredible. I found last night that if you use, now I'm using an iPad Pro again. I'm using my Apple Pencil was for navigation as well as I am for like scribbling around. But they added a little haptic for if you long press on stuff. So if you long press on stuff, the pencil clicks. It's like, great. I love that. I want that. All of these little details are just fantastic. I love the new Smart Folio. The fact that I can put it in different orientations. It's a little fiddly, but it does the job. I think this iPad's fantastic. I'm super, super happy with it. And, I spoke about it's an upgrade, but like I don't have any real desire to use my iPad for more than what Apple wants you to use an iPad for. And like, this is no shade on any friends of mine, right? Like I have lived that life.
Are you talking about me? You have a problem?
I don't know. Anyone, Stephen maybe. But
It's not me.
Look, I've been in those trenches. I lived that life. But now I use my iPad for content consumption. And I'm very happy with that. And this one is fantastic. It's fantastic because it's all content, looks and feels better on it. So thin, super light. Like I pick it up and I'm like, man, that's so light. Yeah, this is just, for me, an incredible product and I'm very happy with it.
That Apple Pencil squeeze has never worked for me?
Have you adjusted the sensitivity?
No. What I mean is that I go in settings and I assign run a shortcut as an action.
Okay.
For the squeeze. Then I back out of that page, right? I go to the previous screen and it says squeeze turned off. I open the setting again. I say when I squeeze, run a shortcut. Then I go back and it says off. Huh. And so I rebooted my iPad. I installed 17.5.1. I tried again. It's like the setting doesn't stick for me. The squeeze is currently useless on my iPad Pro.
Have you played around with it without the shortcut thing?
No.
Though? Like just in notes and stuff.
Why
like
would
that?
I guarantee you it's shortcuts.
I can barely hold the pencil in my hands. Like I don't even know. Like yesterday I had to fill out a form using a pen. I was like, do I even know how to write anymore?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I liked it. But if it didn't work for me, I would be unhappy,
Yeah. So hopefully it'll get
That's
fixed.
funny.
iPadOS, right?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? It's a thing.
Put macOS on it. No, I'm just kidding. But maybe.
Stephen, have you kept yours?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's nice.
I gotta say, as a listener of the show last week, just a great moment. Just a great moment.
That was a classic Steven moment.
When Stephen announced that he had an iPad, which I knew was going to happen. Like I was very confident it was going to happen, but that was beautiful the way it was unveiled to the world.
Federico had asked me before we hit record, and I just didn't answer. It's like I just talked about something else.
He said, we'll talk about it on the show. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it on the show.
What about your iPad Mini, Myke? Is it gonna be jettisoned to a family member, or
I think it's gonna have to be. I'm giving it a little bit more time because what I thought I would want to keep it for is for reading comics at night. Because the screen is so small and the products are so small, it makes it very easy to hold, right? Where like the 11-inch, while thin and light, is still bigger, you know what I mean? And it's like it makes it a bit more cumbersome. Mm-hmm. But the screen is just so much better, right? So like the comics I'm reading look better on an OLED screen than I would say subpar LCD screen of the iPad Mini.
Subpar.
Like, it's not.
It is not as good as the other iPads, and so I keep looking at that Mini and I'm like, I love you, little guy, but I'm just not sure. I don't think I can do it. Like I think I've got to go
You've had a
I
good
think
time
I've got to
together.
go with the 11-inch.
Now it's time to move on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a great time together, me and Patrick.
Yeah.
Like
Patrick,
we had a
yes, okay.
wonderful love affair. But I think
Right.
it's time to
Love
move on.
affair, you would say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna let go of my short king, and I'm going for a tall guy
Wow.
now.
Looking for something else.
Okay.
I wonder what you were gonna say there, Stephen.
I just stopped. I just stopped mid sentence.
You just immediately just jettisoned out of that one. We're done.
You don't have the Magic Keyboard. You're just using the Smart Folio. I got a Smart Folio in denim. It's a useless color, but it's nice. Like, and I think it was on Upgrade. Jason says something that blew my mind. It was like, I keep my iPad Pro in the Folio, and then I put it in the Magic Keyboard when I need the keyboard. And I've always used mine the other way around, and so I'm going to give that a try. I'm going to leave the Magic Keyboard at my desk, like in the drawer, and then when it's time to like take it someplace to a meeting or something, or want to do a little light email or something on it, then slap it in the keyboard, see how that goes. Because it doesn't feel drastically thinner with the Magic Keyboard on it compared to the old one. It is, but the Smart Folio really makes it feel thinner.
That's a good idea. Keeping it. Because I've also been, like, now that you mention it, I've also been doing it the other way around. Like, it's always in the Magic Keyboard. And I've been keeping, like, the Smart Folio usually on my nightstand because that's what I want to do, like, non-work things. On the iPad at night, like watch a movie or play a video game or something. But I am intrigued by thinking about it the other way around, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's good. It's a good iPad. This episode of Connected is brought to you by Ecamm. Ecamm Live is the leading video production and live streaming studio built for the Mac. Ecamm does all aspects of video, not just live streaming. It's perfectly suited for simplifying your workflow. It's easy enough to get started quickly, but powerful enough that you can create just about anything with video. And you can do it all with the Ecamm app. I'm so impressed with this app because it is integrated really nicely into macOS. It understands how the Mac does media, and that's really fantastic because you're pulling all these things together. So you can be streaming, recording, podcasting, or presenting. Everything you need is there, including support for multiple cameras and screen sharing with a live camera switcher, letting you direct the show in real time. You can add logos, titles, lower thirds, and graphics, share your screen, drop in video clips, bring on guests, use a green screen, and so much more. Ecamm Live's members are entrepreneurs, marketing professionals, podcasters, educators, musicians, church leaders, bloggers, and content creators of all kinds. You can get 1 month free today at ecamm.com/connected and use the code CONNECTED. That's ecamm.com, ECAMM, ecamm.com/connected with the code CONNECTED for 1 month free. Our thanks to Ecamm for their support of the show and Relay FM. Federico, we've all been holding our breath, waiting to see what you were going to do with the MacPad, with the new with the new iPad Pro out. I know you went to the 13-inch this time. You have a story on Mac Stories about some of this. How's that gone? Are you liking it? How's the OLED life with the MacPad?
It's incredible. OLED looks really, really nice on macOS. Making the iPad Pro ready for the MacPad was like a 10-minute deal. I just I knew that I was gonna have to get that I needed to get like this back cover that I had to cut, just like I did with the previous one. Attach three magnets to it, and then it was good to go. Because like the MacBook was already, of course, half of the MacBook was already good to go. I just needed to prepare the mounting system, which will be the back cover on the iPad with 3 magnets lined up. And yeah, there was a 10-minute deal, and I just ran my shortcut to enable Sidecar, and there it was, macOS on OLED, which looks fantastic. I mean, the wallpapers look especially good. And even like something that Jason mentioned in his review of the iPad Pro, which is you can tell the quality of OLED even just by looking at things like black text on a white background. Like I also noticed that on macOS with like the names of folders and files in Finder when you're using light mode. Like I can tell that the black color of the text is crisper and darker than before, which is nice. And yeah, then like I guess the The more interesting part of this experiment, which is something that I'm still working on, is something that is still a bit of a work in progress. And that is, so in this current version of the MacPad, when I detach the screen, so when I grab the iPad, I only have a back cover for it, right? It doesn't have a front anymore. And I was thinking about this and I realized, well, that's not convenient. Like it works as a mounting system, but then I don't have a folio anymore. Like it's just the back because the front I cut with a knife. And so I started thinking, is there a way that I can actually keep the best of both worlds, which would be attach the iPad as a screen for the MacPad, but also when I detach it, I can have a folio that does all the things a folio does, which is there's a front cover and you can fold it and you can prop it up on your lap or on a desk, or you can use it to type in landscape or something. So I started playing around with these ideas, and I had a first version based on a mod for the Apple Smart Folio. I attached 3 magnets to the front of the Smart Folio, and I realized that if I fold the folio in a particular way, which is different from the default one, there was a way to attach. There's a photo on Mac Stories that shows what I mean. There was a way to attach the folio without cutting anything to the MacPad. But when I did that, I noticed that the iPad would tilt backwards because that folded section, the iPad essentially became a lever, and it would cause that folded section to, well, unfold because of the weight. So I put together this very ugly, I gotta say, it's very ugly. It works, but it's ugly. Prototype that uses a Velcro strip to keep that folded section together. And so go check out the photos because it's easier to see in practice what I mean. This solution works, and I've been using it. It's a way to keep a working smart folio that when you detach the iPad from the MacBook, it's still a smart folio that you can fold, that you can close on top of the iPad. I don't love this first version because I used magnets that are too big. So I want to do a second revision with smaller magnets, and also I used too much Velcro. I tried, as I mentioned in the story, I tried replacing Velcro with microsuction tape. It doesn't work because the weight of the iPad is too much. So I will need to use Velcro again. Maybe I can find a thinner Velcro, but for sure I gotta use less of it because I was a little too concerned in this first take on this experiment, and I used too much. And so in the second revision, if I can find a thinner Velcro, that would be ideal, but also use less of it.
The Velcro is to kind of hold the cover of the smart cover out of the way, basically, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you take a look at the photos, when the front part of the cover folds on itself, and I attach it to the magnets without the Velcro, the iPad would tilt backwards.
The magnets need to be stuck to the rigid part of the smart cover.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
which goes on the back. Yeah, okay.
Yes. So that part, because of the weight of the iPad, it's because the iPad in that configuration is very top heavy. So the top part of the iPad would push the cover backwards. And so the Velcro acts as a resistance in the bottom section. And so even though there's weight, the Velcro keeps it together. This is where I'm probably going to need Dr. Drang to design a MacPad.
You need a
case for
structural
me.
engineer at this point.
I need an engineer to
Yeah.
take care of this for me. So, doctor, if you're listening, hit me with any tips, as long as it don't involve any equations. But yeah, I'm liking this a lot. Go check out the pictures, and that's it's I've been using it. It's lovely with OLED. It works amazingly well, and yeah, the MacPad lives on even with the new iPad Pro. It looks much better with the 13-inch. It's much more visually balanced than before. Myke saw the original version in real life, and it looked funny with the 11-inch iPad Pro. Now it looks much better. So yeah, go MacPad.
Go MacPad. It's kind of the beauty of this product, right? Is that you can update it component by component.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine
what does Syracuse say? Naked robotic core.
That's right.
Like it's like that.
I don't think he was talking about cutting a MacBook Air in half, but
I mean, it's more naked if you're cutting the screen off. It's more naked than it was previously.
It's more something.
Yeah.
But like say that you want to update to an M4 MacBook Air or something, and they're like, yeah, you can like do these things separately. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe a Copilot plus Windows PC. You know what I mean?
Oh, we can talk about that.
We're going to get to that. Don't you worry.
You can do anything. You can do anything now.
We're going to get
to
that.
You put a Surface on top of the MacBook. It's like you're free.
Yeah. I
know, Federico, you've spoken about Mac OS being usable on the 11-inch display when you're in that mode. Yeah. But is it noticeably better on the 13?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, it is. It absolutely is. It feels it's a traditional computer display. It was fine before. Like I remember being a huge fan of the 11-inch MacBook Air a decade ago or something when it was around.
What a beautiful time that was,
Great computer. They should do one again, but they won't. So it was usable. It's obviously much better on the 13. Like it makes more sense, and yeah, the window sizes, they're more comfortable. The dock is the proper size. Like everything makes more sense on the 13-inch. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've sold Macs smaller than that now, right? You are now fully in MacBook size screen territory. This episode of Connected is brought to you by 1Password. How do you make a password that's strong enough that no one will guess it and impossible to forget? And how do you do it for 100 different websites? And make it so everyone in your company and family can do the same without ever needing to reset them. This is impossible unless you have 1Password. It combines industry-leading security with award-winning design to bring private, secure, and user-friendly password management to everyone. 1Password makes strong security easy for your people, family, employees, and it gives you the visibility you need to take action when you need to. Companies lose hours every day from employees forgetting and resetting passwords, and a single data breach can cost millions of dollars. 1Password secures every sign-in to save you time and money. Any device, anytime, 1Password lets you securely switch between your iPhone, Android phone, Mac, and PC with convenient features like autofill for quick sign-ins. All you have to do is remember the one strong account password that protects everything else. Logins, credit cards, secure notes, the office Wi-Fi password, on and on. And you can protect your global workforce with simple security, easy secret sharing, and actionable insight reports. I use 1Password both at home and at work, and that's the only password I know. Everything is safe and secure in there. I love having bank account information, secure notes. It is really at the center of so much of what I do on my systems. 1Password's award-winning password manager is trusted by millions of users and over 100,000 businesses, from IBM to Slack to Relay FM. It beat 40 other options to become Wirecutter's top pick for password managers. Plus, regular third-party audits and the industry's largest bug bounty keep 1Password at the forefront of security. Right now, Connected listeners get a 2-week free trial by going to 1password.com/connected for your growing business. That's 2 weeks for free at 1password.com/connected. There's a link in the show notes. Don't let security slow your business down. Check out 1Password today. Our thanks to 1Password for sponsoring this show and Relay FM. We spoke last week a lot about OpenAI's announcements and commented that the voice sounded a little familiar, and turns out that they done goofed or committed a crime.
That's a way to say it. Done goofed.
We'll see
what
happens.
Would you mind if I give my attempt at an abridged version of the chain of events?
Please.
Please.
OpenAI had a voice named Sky This voice predated the GPT-4o launch. It was one of the pre-selected voices that you can have because they've had the voice thing for a while. This voice sounded an awful lot like Scarlett Johansson, essentially referencing her role in the movie Her, where she plays a voice AI. During the launch of GPT-4o, they spent a lot more time with the voice stuff than they had previously, right? Like it's actually the entire presentation really is like talking to and hearing it talk back. And they were also showing off improvements that they were making to the voice technology to make it sound more real, like breath and stuff like that. Lots of people also recognize the voice similarities to Johansson, right? They were like, oh, this sounds just like her. It was in media. There was a SNL joke about it, which is particularly funny because the person who said the joke is Scarlett's husband, Colin Jost. So anyway, OpenAI were getting lots of questions about this because it's like, hey, this sounds like that very famous actress who was in that movie. And also as well, Sam Altman tweeted the word her after the presentation. OpenAI took the voice down after receiving lots of questions about it. Then Scarlett Johansson released a statement. Should I read the statement?
Yes.
All right. Last September, I received an offer from Sam Altman, who wanted to hire me to voice the current ChatGPT 4.0 system. So I've read this initially and thought, oh, was that written wrong? Did that mean 4.0? I was like, no, actually, that's GPT-4, which is when they brought the voice in, and also last September, right? It was a long time ago. Anyway, so he told me that he felt that by voicing the system, I could bridge the gap between tech companies and creatives and help consumers to feel comfortable with the seismic shift concerning humans and AI. He said he felt that my voice would be comforting to people. After much consideration and for personal reasons, I declined the offer. 9 months later, my friends, family, and the general public all noted how much the newest system sounded like named Sky sounded like me. When I heard the release demo, I was shocked, angered, and disbelieved that Mr. Altman would pursue a voice that sounded so eerily similar to mine that my closest friends and news outlets could not tell the difference. Mr. Altman even insinuated that the similarity was intentional, tweeting a single word, her, a reference to the film in which I voiced the chat system Samantha, who forms an intimate relationship with a human. 2 days before the ChatGPT 4.0 demo was released. Now here I think they're referencing 4.0. Not 4.0. Anyway, but Mr. Altman contacted my agent asking me to reconsider. Before we would reconnect, the system was out there. As a result of their actions, I was forced to hire legal counsel, who wrote 2 letters to Mr. Altman and OpenAI, setting out what they had done and asking them to detail the exact process by which they recreated the Sky voice. Consequently, OpenAI reluctantly agreed to take down the Sky voice. In a time when we are all grappling with deepfakes and the protection of our own likeness, our own work, our own identities, and I believe there are questions that deserve absolute clarity. I look forward to resolution in the form of transparency in the passage of appropriate legislation to help ensure that individual rights are protected. All-time great statement. Once again, Scarlett Johansson is out there sticking it to the big companies. Like, don't forget, she sued Disney and won.
Yeah.
I think they settled, but
They did.
Yeah, but nevertheless, she was right in what she was doing at the time than she is right now. OpenAI are saying that this is a coincidence and that it is another voice actor who just so happens to sound like Scarlett Johansson. Which I just believe is a lie. Like, I don't... One of these things is a lie, right? Either it's a lie that it is a voice actor who just so happens to sound like her, or what I honestly think is happening is this is a synthetic voice that they created, trained on her voice. And I don't know if you two had experienced it at all, but I have access to GPT-4o.
Yeah.
And so you can talk to it. And the voice is still good, but not as good. And my voice was set to the Sky voice. And when I was on vacation, I wanted to see like how Adina would talk to it because she doesn't. she's not going to be kind to the machine where I might be in that way. Like she was just asking it questions where I might like let things go or like phrase things in such a way that I know I'm talking to a computer. And she had a conversation with it for a couple of minutes, was asking it advice about what we could do on our trip. It just sounded like her. Like I don't believe for a second that this is a coincidence because it sounded just like her. So that's kind of the news as it is so far.
The really damning part in my mind is that they contacted her agent 2 days before the demo.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is like when my kids were younger and you come in and there's like a mess in the kitchen or in their room. Like, hey, did you make this mess? You're the only one here. Like, no, I don't know who made this mess. Like, well, you did. You're just lying to me very transparently. And I mean, as bad as this is, and this is pretty bad, really bad. And boy, to your point, Myke, they mess with the wrong person. I would not want to be on the other end of Scarlett Johansson's lawyers. But this is yet another example of this company and probably other companies in this field using information that's not theirs to build their products, right? Remember the thing a couple of weeks ago when their CTO was asked if Sora was trained on YouTube videos? And there's like just not an answer. Like, well, yeah, of course it was. Oh, we trained it from things we found on the internet. Yeah, like the youtube.com website. This is the same, to me, the same sort of we can do whatever we want, get out of our way, that I find increasingly distasteful from this company. Yes. And it just, they think they can just do whatever they want and get away with it. Like, they may not in this case, but it is really gross.
Well, they don't care, right? This is their attitude, I guess. It's just we're the cool guys, and we are changing the tech industry. We can do whatever we want, which I think that's a very toxic attitude, honestly. Like just disregarding completely. I mean, getting in touch with her agent 2 days before, and then just going ahead because hey, what are they gonna do to us? You know, like we have billions of dollars. I really dislike everything about this, honestly.
The thing that I think annoys me the most is the stupidity of it. Yeah. Like, you didn't need to do any of this and it would have been fine, you know? Like, none of these things had to happen. You didn't need to get Scarlett Johansson anyway. Like, you didn't need to get her voice, right? Like, it doesn't matter. It could just be any voice. Why does it need to be the voice from the movie? Which, I know this is like an old joke at this point, but like that movie ends real bad. Like, I don't understand why you want to make that connection so much, and also why like Altman thinks that like her voice would be the right thing to bridge the gap. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
He missed the message of the film.
Yes, you know? And like I just GPT-4o is really impressive. No one cares now. Right? This has completely overshadowed it. And so, like, all of these people inside of OpenAI have done the work that they've done to make this technology. Yeah.
Well, there's fewer people than there used to be. Did you see, like, the flood of people leaving in the wake of the demos?
Yeah, I don't know about all of that. Like, I don't really know. I heard about there's a couple of executives left, right? I don't know about anybody else personally, but, like...
Yeah, some of it was some of the people behind the coup, like the other executive that was part of that.
Yeah.
And then some people apparently on the product safety team left as well.
Okay. I mean, like, I don't know what that was all in relation to. I think that might just be like the fallout of the coup.
Yeah. So I mean, my point was just all the people working there, and I was just like, well, it's fewer people than there used to be. I don't think there was like a Scarlett Johansson protest within the company.
Okay. I was sorry. I wasn't sure if that was what you meant.
Yeah.
But like, all of these people did this work. And like now it kind of doesn't matter, right? And it's all just because of the idiocy of Altman in this scenario, right? It's just like, why even do any of this? Like, what are you doing? Like, you should be doing everything you possibly can to make people warm up to your company.
Yeah.
Because people are, rightly so, really hesitant of this, right? And like, this is, like, this era of technology has promise. There are interesting things that are going on. But there's also a lot of really unsettling things that are going on. You don't need to add to the unsettling by doing things that don't even make any sense. Like, why would you do this? I want to read a quick quote from Casey Newton at Platformer. Its narrative about, so OpenAI's narrative about the Johansson debacle is essentially that its chief executive slipped on a series of banana peels over the last 9 months until they were trapped in an uncanny valley between one of the world's most famous actresses and another actress whom it declines to name, who sounds just like her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, it's the slipped on a series of banana peels thing where it's just like, whoa, I didn't mean to do any of this. Like, this all just so happened to occur. Like, it's just so stupid and juvenile. It's like, you're supposed to be in charge of this massive company. Just act like an adult.
Mm-hmm. And if you hired somebody else, to have that person come out and make a statement, and it all goes away. Or it gets better, at least.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, to me, look, the idea of, like, we're protecting this person's privacy, that doesn't hold water with me.
No.
That feels like the kind of thing you would say when you're trying to protect the fact that nobody exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the... Like, what? What's the issue here? Like, voice actors all the time, they're credited. What, you can't credit this one? Like, what's the concern around this? Like, I don't understand what that concern is.
Yeah, we know who did the original Siri voice. Like, you know, come on.
To me, that it just feels like we're trying to hide this. Like, I mean, look, I don't know what Scarlett Johansson's move is going to be. I don't know if she's going to try and file a lawsuit. If she does, and if she's successful to do so, I think she has the ability to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe we'll find out the answer, but it's going to be a long way in the future, and maybe people won't care about it anymore. But I think she's done a great job here of kind of exposing them. I think done very well, to be honest. I think she's kind of crushed it. But it just disappoints me. It disappoints me. And then I think about, what are we, 4 weeks away from Sam Altman maybe appearing at WWDC? Hey, everyone, I made a new voice. It's called Tim.
It's called
Tom.
It's called Tom. And it says, good morning. I always wonder what happens at Microsoft when these sorts of things happen, right? Microsoft has put a lot of money in this company. A lot of their Copilot stuff, which we're talking about next, powered by this. During the coup, they offered Sam Altman a job, and he turned it down to go back to the company that tried to oust him. Like, I want to know everything about that relationship. But someone at Microsoft, like when this news broke, they just slammed their head into their desk.
Yeah, I think they kind of expect it from them now, though. Like, I don't know how much you to follow this, but like, Microsoft is buying up more AI companies. Like, they're essentially building within Microsoft a team where they can just plug them in and get rid of OpenAI.
As they should. They should own their technology.
But like, I think OpenAI has brought them to the dance, right? And like, now they're building the infrastructure that they need to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for all this, it's like, yes, I expect that every time something like this happens, such as just like, I don't want to have to deal with this. Right? Like, you're like, we're trying to do a thing over here. And, like, he was at Build, like, the next day after this. And it's just like, you're embarrassing me. But it at least seems like he is making the moves that he would need to try and get rid of them and move over to whatever there is. But I think that it would be particularly awkward for Apple. Yeah. Because if they are actually going to announce a brand new partnership, it's like, oh, so you decided still a brand new, like, that's going to be the question, where it's like with Microsoft, it's a little bit like, well, we're already in bed together, like, It'd be weird. It's going to be, I think, more complicated to be like, no, we made the decision now that we're going to do this. So I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to go.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Fitbod. When you want to change your fitness level, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why Fitbod is so awesome. It's an easy, affordable way to build a fitness plan that's just for you. Everyone's fitness path is different, which is why Fitbod uses data to make sure they customize things to suit you, adapting as you improve, so each workout will be challenging, pushing you to make the progress you want. Superior results are achieved when a workout program is tailored to your unique body, experience, environment, and goals, which are all stored in your Fitbod gym profile. Fitbod tracks your muscle recovery so you can avoid burnout and keep up your momentum. And it builds your best possible workout by combining AI with exercise science. They've analyzed billions of data points that have been fine-tuned by certified personal trainers. And you can make sure you're learning new movements the right way thanks to more than 1,000 demonstration videos, one of my absolute favorite features in Fitbod. Muscles improve when working in concert with the entire muscular system, so overworking some muscles while underworking others can negatively impact your results. That's why Fitbod tracks muscle fatigue and recovery to design a well-balanced workout routine. It also means you're never going to get bored because the app mixes up your workouts with new exercises, rep schemes, supersets, and circuits. You can stay informed with Fitbod's progress tracking charts, weekly reports, and sharing cards, let you keep track of your achievements and personal bests and share them with friends and family. And it integrates with your Apple Watch, Wear OS smartwatches, and apps like Strava, Fitbit, and Apple Health. I mentioned those demonstration videos earlier. They are one of my favorite things about this app because learning something new, you want to make sure you do it correctly. And that is a great reassurance. Personalized training of this quality is expensive, but Fitbod is just $12.99 a month or $79.99 a year. But you can get 25% off your membership by signing up at fitbod.me/connected. That's FITBOD, fitbod.me/connected. Go there now and get your customized fitness plan. Our thanks to Fitbod for the support of the show and Relay FM.
So there was a Microsoft Surface event earlier this week, followed by the Microsoft Build conference, I believe. And of course, at the Surface event, the big news is the debut of these brand new AI PCs that Microsoft is not calling AI PCs, they're calling Copilot Plus PCs, which is an interesting name to say the least. Copilot Plus.
Are you guys familiar with the fact that they actually already have things that are called Copilot PCs?
No, but I'm not surprised.
It's a different thing.
Mm.
Oh my God, that is so Microsoft.
Isn't that great? It's so Microsoft.
I really like the Copilot branding.
Me too.
But
I think it's great branding.
But you got to deploy it in a more reasonable fashion,
Yes.
Microsoft.
Yes.
Yeah. So this Copilot Plus PCs, obviously, we know Microsoft is going all in on AI, and they've been doing that for the past 2 years, really. But what's different about these new computers, so there's a new Surface laptop and there's the new Surface Pro 11. Is that they skipped the 10, right?
Well, they're actually not numbering them.
They're not numbering it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 10 is business only, I believe. The Surface Pro 10 is just for business customers. They didn't number this one. The thing about these computers is that they're running on a brand new ARM-based architecture. So this is the long-rumored Qualcomm-made Snapdragon X processors. They're going to power these Windows machines. And specifically, there's two versions of the Snapdragon X. There's the Plus and the Elite. Now, what's really remarkable here is that we can get to the details about how Microsoft is doing this transition from the x86 architecture to an ARM-based architecture. They tried years ago. It didn't exactly work out in terms of developer adoption, app compatibility, and a bunch of other issues. It seems like this may be the time they actually do it. But what I find fascinating is the comparisons to the M series chips, to Apple Silicon, and specifically Microsoft saying we are beating the MacBook Air with these computers.
Yep.
That I find interesting because from a certain perspective, in terms of just raw AI numbers, it may even be true if you consider how these processors perform and all the different large language models that Microsoft has embedded within Windows at this point. I believe there's about 40 different models that Microsoft has in Windows, but I still struggle to see these computers as having the kind of performance of a MacBook Air in terms of running cool and being thin, and that's not even to mention, of course, the Surface Pro compared to the incredible thinness of an iPad Pro. But they're using different metrics to compare these Copilot Plus PCs to MacBook Airs.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you guys, first of all, I mean, silly name aside, do you find this interesting as an idea of a AI first computer?
Well, I mean,
Or do you find it silly?
no, I don't find it silly. I
Mm.
mean, to me, it's just like, well, I do believe, I've come around to the idea that, like, look, love it or hate it, this is the next phase of computing now. Like, we're
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
And so, like, the idea of a AI-focused PC is funny to me because it's just like, I do think that within 5 years, that's just a PC.
It's new now. It's like
Yeah.
saying if the smartphone was invented now, oh, this is a camera phone. It's like, yeah, well,
Or just like, what do you guys think about this new touch-focused phone? You know, like I genuinely think we're just in it now. The thing that I find the most interesting, it's a lot that some of the stuff they're putting in Windows is interesting to me. But the thing I find the most interesting is how hard they are bringing it to Apple.
yeah.
I like this. I like this. Yes, do it. Just go for it. And like they're saying, I mean, I listened to the Vergecast, and Tom Warren was saying that like he was in a briefing with Microsoft for multiple hours where they had a MacBook Air and the Surface laptop next to each other, and they were just doing benchmark after benchmark. Like they are not just saying that this is more powerful in AI. They're saying it is more powerful in everything. They are saying it has longer battery life. Like they are just saying, like, all in all, this machine is better. Now, they probably have fans in them, right? You're saying about the coolness thing. It's like, okay, like a lot of people are bringing this up. Like I think John Gruber wrote about it too. I don't know if that matters. Like I don't, like, okay, like it does, whatever. But like it's probably more powerful than a MacBook Pro then, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm, it's just like whatever. Like to me, the thing that is interesting here is that they are building computers that look compelling, and that they are putting these features into their operating system, and then they're saying this is better than Apple's laptops. And I'm just like, all right, like this is it. I like this from Microsoft. Let's see what they got. Are you guys familiar with where these chips came from?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
This is they're Qualcomm chips, but a while back Qualcomm bought a company founded by a bunch of people who left Apple who worked on Apple Silicon.
Yep. It's a company called Nuvia. And Qualcomm just said, we'll give you whatever you need, make us the chips. And these are the chips.
And they did.
Yeah, and this is a pretty remarkable chip, like in terms of, like for AI, they're saying like 40 trillion operations per second. Like this Snapdragon X architecture, like it is a serious thing. And the fact that Microsoft is saying we're not just comparable to a MacBook Air, we are superior in terms of performance to the M3. Like that is a serious claim. And they're saying that these computers, like they're claiming, like I was just checking the Surface Pro specs page, they're claiming 14 hours of battery life for a tablet, which, different kind of tablet in many regards, but yeah, it's like this is a serious effort in terms of bringing an ARM-based architecture to Windows. And now, will it work this time around? I think it will. And
the question remains, what is the app story? Like that is their issue of like how many apps are actually going to come. And they announced a bunch of important apps like Photoshop and others are like they're going to make native versions.
Isn't
like,
Fantastical also coming to Windows because of this?
That it was on a slide, and then there was a tweet or a thread post by somebody who said it was coming, but I would not be surprised.
It makes sense for them to do that. It makes sense for them to do that.
To your point, Myke, and to yours, Federico, really, the reason this is so interesting to me is that this is Windows on ARM in a way we've never seen it before. And the software and the hardware both have held it back, but in particular the software. If you go back, whatever it was, 8 years or whatever, 10 years to the Surface RT, that thing failed because the hardware was underpowered, but also because there was no software for it. And Microsoft has taken their sweet time to get Windows ready, to get their emulation ready. And in that time, now they have this chip. And so now things are coming together. And either John or Ben said this on Dithering, I forget which one, but this feels like a turning point in the decline of x86. And Intel's going to have with Lunar Lake a next gen processor. They're going to have, Copilot plus PC stuff ready, but ARM is where these things are happening. And if these devices and the software do all really work as well as Microsoft says they do, this very well could be the turning point where, hey, x86 not on the Mac anymore. It's going to be a long time before it's not on Windows anywhere. Like, it's a very long transition, but this feels like a very big step towards that future.
I genuinely think the Intel thing is just there because Microsoft are being nice to them.
I think so too.
I think x86 is over.
They can also still use them. Like Steven said, like it's going to be a long transition, and there's probably many reasons for Microsoft to remain, partners with Intel for lower spec computers. Like the Windows world is so different from the Apple one.
True.
It makes sense. Like they're the kind of company that is built to have multiple partners. But I agree.
This is the question though, is how good is their emulation layer? Like, because if it's still not good enough, this won't work.
Right. So to give you, I posted on Threads about the gaming angle, for example, which is obviously an interesting one because those are some of the, along with 3D applications and professional applications, 3D graphics is one of the most intensive things that you can ask. A system on a chip in this case, this is not keep in mind, this is not a system with a discrete GPU. This is just like Apple Silicon. It's a single system on a chip that has a GPU inside of it.
The Mac Pro wins in the end,
This is not. These are not computers with a discrete, dedicated GPU. It's just one Snapdragon X system on a chip. Now, for the emulation layer, so I think Microsoft is telling a really compelling story, much more compelling than whatever Apple did last year with that macOS compatibility thing for gaming that nobody ever really took advantage of. So they're saying that they have 1,000 games that are already have already been tested and are playable, or basically just complete Steam's Proton thing. Like they have passed the compatibility checks. So 1,000 games, and mostly you could expect these games without any optimizations to run at 720p or 1080p, 30 frames per second. For example, they showed Baldur's Gate 3, which is a game from last year, like a massive game from last year, running, I believe, somewhere in between 720p and 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now you may say, well, that's not impressive. But again, this is a system on a chip without a discrete GPU, using an emulation layer and running that game at 1080p, 30 frames per second in a tablet.
Yeah.
It is pretty remarkable for a first take.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And you can imagine that, I have a feeling that Microsoft and Qualcomm are absolutely going to take Apple to task here when it comes to gaming. Because, they can tell and they can offer a much more compelling alternative than whatever Apple has in store for the App Store and Apple Arcade, because the signs are pretty much in the open that Microsoft, they're going to do a gaming handheld. And it's going to be, most likely at this point, it's going to be based on this chip on the Snapdragon X series. Now, you can imagine that sort of Xbox handheld that has full-on compatibility with games on Windows, with this kind of battery life. And also, I will point you to the president of Xbox, Sarah Bond, I want to say.
Yep.
Saying that they have assembled a dedicated Xbox game preservation team for future backward compatibility. Now, why is that?
I can think of something.
I mean, they're also saying, as well, that the next Xbox that they're working on is going to be the most powerful games console ever made by a long margin. And yeah, maybe this is part of how they get to that, right? This kind of technology. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen what happens when you go to ARM, your power and the amount of power per watt and all that kind of stuff. It just goes through the roof, and that could be a big leap for this kind of system too.
Yeah, so the final thing I will say is that over the past few years, and rightfully so in our community, because this is what we do for a living, we've been focused on the incredible improvements of the Apple Silicon and M series. But I just wanted to point out that like it's not like Qualcomm has been just resting on their laurels and doing nothing. You can get some pretty remarkable Android phones, like especially the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. That system on a chip and the Adreno based GPU that they have, you can play some Android games and do some emulation in 4K with some really remarkable performance. Now, of course, the app ecosystem is different between iOS and Android, but if I were Apple, competition is good in this case. And Qualcomm proving that they can work with Microsoft to bring Snapdragon to a desktop operating system with a gaming angle, it's very remarkable. And yeah, competition is great.
Over on Ars Technica, Andrew Cunningham has an article about Prism, which is Microsoft's emulation. Like how we have Rosetta 2 on Apple Silicon Macs. And Andrew writes that with a upcoming Windows 11 update, that those translated apps will run between 10 and 20% faster just with the Windows update. And that Prism's performance is, quote, similar to Rosetta's, although obviously this depends on the speed of the hardware you're running it on. And that's another benefit of these ARM chips. They are so fast. If there is any penalty for emulation, and it's not really like emulation is not really the word, it's translation. It's translating, not emulating. Then you make up the difference in the speed. And they've got a bunch of apps, like you mentioned, Adobe, but Dropbox and Chrome are native on ARM on Windows. This is happening. It does not answer the questions about dedicated GPUs. It doesn't really answer the question of like, the bajillion x86 PCs under people's work desks. Like, it's going to take a long time. But I'm telling you, I think we're going to look back in a year or two. Like this is the time when the tide really started shifting for Windows on ARM. The other thing I want to talk to y'all about is Microsoft Recall. So this is a feature that was internally called AI Explorer, but it effectively looks at everything you're doing on your computer and puts it on a timeline so you can go back and see what's going on. If this sounds familiar, there was Rewind AI, which was this Mac application that was going to do this, and that company has pivoted, but this is built into the OS, into Windows. It will, there's some privacy stuff. You can say, don't pay attention to these websites. You can pause or stop it. It's local and on device, but you can say, hey, I saw an email with this in it, or I was on a web page with that on it. Can you find it for me? And it scrolls back in time. I love the interface for it. I think the interface is really fun.
Very reminiscent of Time Machine.
Yeah, it is. And except like sideways instead of back into the screen.
And it's more colorful, and it's got it looks
fun.
like modern Microsoft. Like, it looks great, but like, yeah.
But this is a wild feature. I would imagine that there'll be a lot of people that turn this off, or a lot of companies that turn it off for their employees. But I'm curious, like, for us, is this something that, if this came to Mac OS, is this something that we would be interested in?
This is the dream for me to have like the idea of total digital recall without having to bookmark or like explicitly save things. And I get it. The privacy concerns and everything. I'm sure if Apple ever did something similar, they would have better settings for things that you may want to exclude from your recall. But like for me, this is exactly the perfect use of AI and a large language model. Like, see everything I do. I choose to let you see what I do. And then let me search using natural language things that I remember having seen on my computer, just not having saved them specifically anywhere. This is something that I really, really, really hope Apple does, not just on a Mac, like anywhere, like everywhere. I want to have this on all the devices that I use.
We should note it does only work on some of these newer Copilot Plus PCs with the Snapdragon X Elite chip. So this is a subset of new machines. The minimum storage space, Microsoft says hard drive space, but solid storage space. The minimum required for the system is 256 gigs, but 50 gigs of available space, for this feature to work. And its default allocation is 25 gigs, which they say is about 3 months worth of snapshots. But you can change in the settings how much storage allocation you allow for this. So I'm interested to see how this takes off, if this is used in the world, if people think this is creepy. We just don't know yet. And I think for me, like, I am interested in something like this, but boy, I'd want to make sure that it's local, because something like this, basically screen reading everything you do, that's weird. It's not a very common thing at this point.
Yeah, I'm like struggling with it myself. I keep going backwards and forwards of like, I actually would really like the utility for what Federico's mentioning. Like, I don't need to remember anything. Like, it just remembers everything for me. Like, I love that. But there is also just this like, do I want the computer logging everything? Like everything? Like, do I want that? I'm not sure that I do. And like, it's complicated. I think this is just a thing I'm going to have to like come to terms with if something like this comes to macOS. It's just like a strange thing to think about, that like there is another thing that's watching every website I go to, every app that I open, every conversation I have. Like, if I have an iMessage conversation with someone and delete the iMessage thread, like, it's still going to... We're going back to that thing we were talking about earlier, right? Like, the photos thing, like, it's just reappearing. Like, there is just this, like, another memory. It gets weird. It's just like it's a thing that we haven't had before other than web browsing history. And we all got used to web browsing history, so I'm sure we'd all get used to this. But yeah, I think this is something that I would eventually much prefer the utility of than a creepy thing. But there is also just like security concerns, right? Like real ones that we'd have to seriously consider. That if someone got access to your computer, they have everything now. Complicated.
Yeah.
It's a new realm, right? It's just like a new thing we'd have to get used to. And it makes me uncomfortable, but also I like the idea of it. So, like, if this came to macOS, I would turn it on, but I would still be a bit like, sometimes when I'm thinking about the feature. So,
sure. Man, WWDC, a couple weeks away.
They ain't going to do it.
Who knows what's going to happen?
They're not going to get to this level. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do this. I'm still excited about WWDC. I want to see what they've got, but I'm starting to lower my expectations because everything is rising, and they're not going to be at this level. They're not, because Microsoft started doing all this stuff ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you want to find links to the stories we spoke about, they're in your podcast player. They're also in the information superhighway exit that is relay.fm/connected/503. Pull over. Check out those links. I got in trouble halfway through that sentence. I didn't know.
No, I liked it. It was all really good. Like, that's how we should say. Like, every website is an exit on the information superhighway, and you've always got to turn onto that exit when you want to go to a website. It's great.
That's right. If you want to find Federico, turn down Mac Stories Lane over at macstories.net. Lots of great stories over there. I'm sure they're gearing up for WWDC. You can find Myke on a bunch of other shows here on Relay FM, and you can swing by Cortex Brand on your way home and get something for the kids. Kids need notebooks and pens, right?
Yeah, on the way home. Yeah. Just pick up something for the kids. And I like 512pixels.net, which is Steven's home, because it actually sounds like an address.
It does.
512 pixels.
Yeah. Yes. You can stop by, get a glass of tea, read about
Visit
Emacs.
for a while,
Come on, y'all.
Visit for a while. That's one of my favorite Southern phrases. Like, someone visits. Like, we're just going to visit. I like that. It's cute.
It's going to visit. If the information superhighway is not your thing, and maybe you want to go down the social media expressway, you can do that. We're on Mastodon as Vitici, iMyke, and ISMH86. As are we on Threads. It's all the same usernames everywhere now. It's all unified. Very, very exciting. You guys sound excited.
Some of us have done that a while ago. Like some of us didn't have that problem, but yes, it's very exciting that we're all unified now, Thinking about unification, what do you think about the three of us having just one social media account? We share
why
it.
not?
What do you think? We just share it?
Y'all can log in as connected.
No, but well, you want us all sending all of our thoughts in the connected account? No, like we'll just use it.
What would our name be? Myke?
Stamiko, yeah, he sounds like a fine gentleman. Didn't we do this before?
Probably.
Federico?
Yeah, we've definitely done this before. But yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I think the three of us should have one account and we just post everything from it. So like one day it'll be like, look at this thing I wrote about a MacPad, and then the next day we'll like, look at this podcast that I did, and the next day it'll be like, look at this calendar that I'm selling. Like that could be us.
You have to look at that photo in the Discord.
Yeah, I mean that could be us. Like that would be us. Like final form.
Yeah, where Myke and I got face melded to each other.
Yeah, on top of Federico's body.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to be there?
Exactly.
Thank you to our sponsors this week. They are NetSuite, Ecamm, 1Password, and Fitbod. You can learn more about them in the show notes as well. Thank you to our members who support us directly. You can get Connected Pro. It's just $7 a month. That's a longer ad-free version of the show that we do each and every week with extra topics. We pick titles at the end. Lots of fun things happen there. But Relay members also get access to our members-only Discord, a newsletter, and a couple of members-only podcasts we do each month. And in the month of May and June, we're doing our annual specials that all members get. So if you support Connected, then you get, the bonus episode of Mac Power Users and vice versa, all the shows. We just recorded ours today, and it will be out tomorrow on May 23rd for members. That's in the crossover feed, so go check that out. I think people enjoy what we did.
Tell them.
We talked about Titanic. Mike's favorite movie. Federico's favorite movie.
Mike's favorite movie of Federico's.
Mike's favorite movie he saw this week.
Yeah.
Yes. We talked about Titanic. It sinks. Spoiler alert.
Oh, why would you do that? So many people were just like, well, they didn't know.
They didn't know. It happened
115
years ago. Okay, that's it. We'll be back next week. Until then, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.